Optimism have just released details of their second airdrop, and in this video I'll be sharing with you details of that announcement and how you can check whether you've qualified. Welcome back to Bearman Crypto, where we talk all things crypto. So Optimism, this has been something that everyone's been talking about for a while. Everyone's been anticipating this airdrop and looking at various ways where you can actually qualify for this airdrop. I actually did a video. If you just have a look at some of my past videos, I did a video specifically on how you could potentially qualify for this airdrop. But now we know the specific details of how this airdrop will be distributed. So if we just take a quick look at the moment, before we dive into it, let's have a look at the market action. At the moment, things are red. Everything just seems to be going down. There's various things coming out of the market. Kraken have just been banned by the SEC from staking. And now there's further news about trouble with Paxos and BUSD. So just keep your ear to the ground. Some of this news could literally be market moving. But onto the detail of this video. So Optimism. So Optimism is an L2 scaling solution on Ethereum. So they had their airdrop, their first initial airdrop of about 5% of the tokens back in May 2022. So that was a big airdrop that they dropped people. So it was about 5% of the total supply basically. And since then, Optimism, a lot of people have said there's not much utility with the actual token itself, mainly used for governance. So various things have happened since then, and Optimism have looked at ways to engage with the community, start to create a bit of utility with the specific token. And you can see, based on some of the total value locked, how much that interest that has starting to generate around the token, and people starting to use the actual token itself. But in terms of circulating supply, at the time of this recording, we've got 215 million circulating supply, and the total and max supply is close to 4.3 billion. So there's an absolutely huge chunk still left to go. And when we look at, in terms of the actual distribution of the token itself, there was a huge proportion reserved for airdrops. We can see here 19% of the tokens are specifically reserved for airdrops. So let's just dive into the announcement itself. So this was released not too long ago basically. And you can see here they start off by saying that in May 2022 they distributed over 2 million OP tokens to 250,000 early adopters. And then if we just scroll down, we can start to see some of the stuff that they've been doing. As a protocol, we can see over 1.5 million addresses have sent 64 million transactions since our first airdrop. And a lot of this is where people have been trying to qualify for the airdrop by doing transactions on the network. And obviously spending fees on the network. So over 15 million in fees have been spent using the network. And then today they've basically said that they're doing their second airdrop, which is 11.7 million OP tokens, which will be distributed over 300,000 unique user addresses. And specifically, what they're trying to reward here is people that have been participating in the governance of the network, and the users are basically of Optimism itself. And if we have a look further down here, they then go on to elaborate in terms of the airdrop criteria specifically. So addresses that have delegated the voting power of OP tokens, addresses that have spent more than $6.10 on gas fees since March 2022. So basically, if you did follow some of those Optimism quests that I shared with you in one of my previous videos, you will likely have qualified for a proportion of this. It's a very small proportion, but it's qualification nonetheless. So basically they released the specific criteria in terms of documentation and how you can qualify, which we can take a look at quickly. So let's have a quick scan down here. So basically the first thing that you had to do, or you could have done, was basically delegated on the Optimism network. And basically the longer you delegated, the more likelihood you are to get a bigger share of the airdrop. So here you can see here the governance reward and how that's calculated. So if you had lucky enough to have had more than 2,000 OP tokens delegated, and depending on the length of delegation, then you would have qualified. And at the moment there's only 57,000 of the 300,000 that qualify for that. And then where majority of people would have qualified will be around this gas usage, so doing transactions on their network. This is where you're likely to have qualified for the potential airdrop. I think this one specifically around governance, I completely missed this. I don't know if anyone picked up on this, that obviously if you delegated on and basically delegated in terms of governance, then you would have potentially qualified for this. So those are the two sets of key criteria to qualify for the airdrop. But then there's bonus attributes that help you qualify for additional multipliers. So basically the longer you basically delegate, the more likelihood you are to qualify. You can see an example here, 20 OP delegated for 100 days. 20 times 100 equals, potentially it's the equivalent of 2,000 OP tokens delegated for that period of time. So what else is there? Yeah, so that is essentially the crux of it. And one of the things that they've specifically said further in their announcement, if we have a look further, is around how this is going to be distributed. There is, so just so you're all aware, there is no need to actually claim this airdrop. So the wallet that you used, if you did some of those quests, the wallet that you used to do those quests, make sure you check that wallet, because this is just going to be airdropped directly in there. There's going to be no specific links or anything sent out. So don't click on any links or anything like that. This should automatically appear in your wallet if you qualify. And there's no need to make any sort of claim. So the amount that they're going to be dropping at the moment is probably potentially about 5% of the current circulating supply, so 11.7 million. So it will potentially create a bit of price pressure, or who knows, but that's just something to bear in mind, because with the market performing the way it is at the moment, everyone might want to just dump these tokens as soon as they land in their wallet. So this could potentially put a bit of price pressure on the price of Optimism itself. It wasn't the best of timings, but who was to know that this is what would have been happening to the market at the time. And one of the things to obviously bear in mind is there's going to be further airdrops, as I've said. So far we've had basically 5%, roughly just over 5% dropped to the market. So there's still a huge chunk left to go. And now we know the type of criteria that they're using to qualify for airdrops. I think this is going to create potentially also a bit of interest around starting to delegate on the network. You're likely to potentially see more tokens maybe locked up on the Optimism network. So again, that could counter some of this price pressure, and obviously depending on the market conditions, you know, this could have a positive impact on the token price itself in the long run. But obviously bear in mind, very minimal currently circulating supply. But that's all I wanted to share with you in this video. So make sure you check that you've qualified, and if you've qualified, well done. Spend your money wisely. Of course, not financial advice, and I will see you in my next video.